All right, guys, welcome to the March 8th call. Wow, it's hard to believe it's March already. So it's like tax time. That's what I've been doing the last couple of days, is getting all my tax stuff in order. So I haven't been spending a lot of time online, but I have I did carve out a day to set up JV emails. So I worked with Emerson Brantley, and I don't know if you guys know him or not, but he's a somewhat famous copywriter, and he's done a lot of copywriting for scripts and stuff for like infomercials and big stuff outside of the internet marketing world. And it's really cool, his concept on the copy. He likes to what we call poke at the pain. He's big on poking at the pain. So what I did, I wrote up an original draft and I sent it to him, and he came back and he said, "John, it does not sound like you." He goes, "I know you, we've sat, we've talked, this doesn't sound like I don't hear your voice in it." So we kind of had a little brainstorm session about what that meant. And then I went back to the drawing board and I redrafted the copy, sent it back to him, and he's like, "Aha, now we're getting somewhere." And then he sharpened it up, made some, a couple of really, really good points. And again, when you're doing your own stuff, when you're trying to write your own copy, you really need to get extra eyes on it. Really important, because we just don't see what we don't see. We see it for everyone else. It's like crazy. When I look at someone else's stuff, everything just pops right out at me. And Tim Johnson, he did some sales training for us here earlier in ACT, and he got on and he squashed the 50 top objections. We did a brainstorming session, came up with what are the 50 main objections why somebody wouldn't buy the ACT program, or anything for that matter. And he just went rapid fire, just smashed every one of them. And this guy, he's like one of the best face-to-face salespeople I've ever seen. He doesn't address a question directly, but he will answer the question directly once he knows enough about you and what you want to hear to be able to answer it properly. So if you, like, let's say you just came right out and he had a program and you came out right and said, how much does it cost? And he would not answer you directly there. He would get the answer out of you and bring it back to you. So one thing he might do is he might bring that back around and say, well, what's important to you about this? Or what's your biggest need? What's your biggest pain? And he might list off 2 or 3 things and say, of these things, what is hurting you the most? And then when you tell him that, he's going to start asking you, how much it's hurting you, if you even know. And he's going to lead you down this path of self-discovery of what it's actually costing you to not do anything. And then and only then will he bring you back the price, once he's established the value. So as good as he is at that, he asked me, because he's helping me also set all this stuff up. He asked me, he goes, "Hey, can you give me a hand? Can you take a look at my website and make some recommendations?" And I swear to God, I looked at his website and it was a disaster. I looked at it, and everywhere in there, one of the big things he talks about is it's not about you, it's about them. He says, you remove the word I from your vocabulary. I, we, us, you got to get rid of all that. It's all about they and them and you. That's who it's about. So here I go onto his website, and it's all about him, everything. There was nothing about you. And I asked him, I said, "Tim, who's this site about?" And he said, "Me." And I said, "Who's that important to?" And he said, "Me." I said, "Do you see a problem here right out of the gate?" And he started laughing. He's like, "Oh man," he goes, "I really hosed that." And then I said, "And Tim, what is it that you want someone to do here? This is just all about you. There's no call to action. There's no clear path. There's, you don't have anything. This isn't a website. This is a biography. This is just nothing more than your bio sheet. This is not a website. This should be on the bio page, the About Me page. If someone wants to learn more about you, the information's there. This is not a website. So that's one of the things, that you really want to get extra eyes looking at what you're doing, everything that you're doing. Like last week, Cheryl sent out an email, and I was so excited to see it, that she actually had sent something out. And I'm like, cool, and I'm reading through it. I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? There's no call to action. Great information. It's a really, really great topic, really hot. And she actually got some response from it. She said a few people actually responded and one person bought. And, phenomenal. That is awesome. Think of how many people would have bought if you told them what to do. Just that little thing. It's so really, you guys, before you send stuff out, have us look at it. Bring it on here. Let us help you. We're here to sharpen the swords for you. So I'm excited to see what happens when she sends that out and, adjusts the copy a little bit and makes it a little more compelling and has a call to action and, get some results off it. That will be really cool. And same thing with Mary Sue. I'm waiting for you to get something out there. Even if it's not right, let's get something out there. Let's get you some positive motion. We got to take a step forward. We're going to be like we're going to turn, our feet are going to turn to sand in the sandstone.
Thank you for keeping on me, John. I appreciate that.
I'm not giving up on you. I'm not giving up on anybody. In fact,
and I am grateful. I am grateful. I truly am. So.
Yeah, anybody, if you need direction, if you need help with copy, whatever it is, let's figure it out and let's get you guys moving forward. I still got that gold bar and I'm dying to give it away. So we got to get somebody. I'm actually sitting here today playing with copper bars. I've got a boatload of these things. I'm thinking about putting them up on eBay. So probably got 50 or 60 of these things sitting here.
What's a copper bar for? Those of us that fall short. So we didn't make it to the gold. So
I bought these a long time ago as an investment. I was buying silver and gold and copper, and the copper is so inexpensive compared to the other metals. I literally have a 50-pound box of copper sitting here, and copper is worth like $3 a pound. Where gold is worth I think it's $16 an ounce now.
Yikes!
So you can get a lot of value in the more valuable metals. But I just gotta move this. But the bars, when you get them in these, they're called like collectible bars. They've got different, like this is a Lady Liberty from 2011, and the pound bar, the pound of copper itself is only worth $3, but the bar, when it's in that form, they're I just looked on eBay. They're going for anywhere from like 16 to 19 bucks a bar. So when I bought them at about $2 a bar. So that's pretty good. Pretty good climb. I'm just tired of storing them. I think they're going back on eBay. I'm going to turn them into silver or gold.
There you go. Cash of some sort.
Yeah. I'm going to consolidate. I can turn this box probably into one coin. Speaking of coins, there's just a ton of stuff going on this Bitcoin thing. And I know you guys are probably seeing it, being connected to the internet marketing world. Uh, I missed going on the cruise this year, and from what I've heard from several people that were on there, there's this big rave about creating your own Bitcoin, your own e-currency, and I'm like, that just sounds like the biggest sham of the 21st century.
Boy, I agree with that one. Somebody offered to sell me a program.
Oh God.
Millions on it, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm just like, yeah, this definitely does not sound like it's in my wheelhouse.
no. Click. That one went away. So,
Yeah.
John, how about if you talk about the ad roll and the Steelhouse and the SEO stuff some more? If nobody else has anything to talk,
Okay.
I would love to hear, because I just need to settle that in my brain so I
Okay.
have a really good feeling of the direction that I need to go.
Gotcha. Well, tell me where, for you, where's the confusion about it, or what kind of direction are you missing? Where do you feel you're like missing the gap?
Well, I have to say I've never really done it, and I listen to you talk about SEO, and I think it feels. I mean, of all the things that I have ever done over the years, and there has been plenty. Okay, SEO was not one of them, right?
Okay.
So I think that Kyle was supposed to do that, but clearly nothing got done in that respect. But it feels to me like I should have been doing that, and now I know that. So now that we are expanding into Europe, I need to figure out not just our site, our domestic site, but how I need to think going forward. Because for me right now, what I have to do is find some distributors. I'd rather find distributors, frankly, in the EU than do our own fulfillment there. I will if I have to, but for us, that's just way better. And I can't quite figure out how to do that. I know AdRoll, in their list, they had something that looked like it was for businesses, although how in the world's going to be using their stuff that's not a business, I don't know. So how they're marketing that differently, I'm not sure, but it was like Roll Works or Roll something, okay, was specific to that. And I thought, well, maybe that was what it is. But so I've got a teeny tiny, I mean like 3 companies or something that we have had distributorships over the past few years. And so I want to say these are the people that I want to create a market to. These are who I want to look for in the EU or the UK for distributors. And I feel like I need to set up something that starts, I don't know how the ones find us that come, but they are certainly determined. And so I want to make it easier for them. There's got to be other people, you know?
Okay. So that being said, and this goes back to strategy. A lot of this goes back to strategy. SEO is really a lot about strategy. So if there's certain people that you want to go after, like say you've got a new avatar like these distributors, you might have had some of them in the past, and you might know from experience, these are really good avatars for me. If that's the case, you've got to put a section on your site that is specifically for them. You don't have to build a whole website around them, but you need to have a section on the site. You need to have a landing page. You need to have links to it from the site. They've got to be able to navigate. Like, let's say they come into your homepage and you don't have anything that says distributor. So automatically they think this little light goes off that says they don't take distributors. So you're not stimulating that thought process or that idea. If, let's say they land on the site and it says distributors welcome, or seeking distributors in the UK specifically, if somebody saw that, that's a reticular activator. If they saw that and they're like, I'm a distributor and I'm in the UK, that button is for me specifically. You made that for them. They're going to click it. Then they're going to get to that landing page, and that landing page is going to speak their language. So understanding who they are, what language they speak, by speaking language, I don't mean like different language. I mean their language. What's
Sure.
their hot buttons? You know, what's important to them. Their lingo, their slang, whatever, you know, whatever it is, the way they speak. So that page should be specifically about that. In that, some of those terms and those things that they use are known as keywords. When you are relevant to a particular keyword, Google will put you at the top. That really is SEO. It's being relevant to a particular keyword. Because think of SEO as like the Library of Congress. It's every piece of content in the world in one convenient location on the internet. But how do you find it? You find it through the index. The index is Google or Bing or Yahoo or whoever. So their job is to categorize every piece of content on the internet. Now, your job is to make sure that your content is relevant, aka search engine optimization. You're optimizing your content to make sure that they value it, so they put you ahead of the rest of the people. So some of the things that are, you know, involved in SEO is there's on-page optimization, and there's also off-page optimization. So on-page, you have total control over. On-page is like your title tags, your descriptions, your actual content, making sure that it is the right content, making sure it's comprised of those keywords, that those keywords show up regularly in the content. Also, that other relevant terms also show up with them. They refer to that as LSI, latent semantic indexing. That's like if your keyword was baseball, LSI words are words that don't mean baseball, but they are in the baseball realm, like stadium, for instance.
Right.
Stadium doesn't have anything to do with baseball, the keyword, but it's relevant to baseball. There's stadiums in baseball. There's bats, balls, gloves, first base, shortstop, all
So,
these
John,
things.
when you do SEO on my site, then if I said to you, John, I want to buy an SEO package, who is in charge of making sure that my site looks like that and matches what you think you want to do? Is it you, or is it my webmaster?
Well, it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
It goes back to the content strategy. Like a web developer or a webmaster, they're really just there to put things together. They're like your builder. They're going to build your house out of the materials that you provide. So the SEO guy, he's like the interior decorator. He's going to come in after the fact, and he's going to say, you need a flower over here. You need a throw pillow here. He's going to optimize the experience for the user on the other end. Does that kind of make sense?
So then what you do is you take a look at that and you say, it's nice the way they built the house, but you don't have any furniture.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if your site is about whatever it is, you need to go get these pieces of content. Okay.
Yes. The content really, that's the strategy part of it. And if you're building your house around a poor strategy, it's going to be weak. The SEO guys are not going to be able to fix weak content. You know, it's not their job to rewrite it. It's their SEO guys typically are not copywriters. They're copy optimizers. They'll go in and they might say, hey, we need to add this word a couple more times in the content. And they can do that, or you can do that, but they make that recommendation. So don't plan on an SEO guy to come in and like build you this wonderful website that is totally optimized. They don't do that. They take your content, which you should have already optimized for your ideal client, and they'll optimize that for the particular keywords that you want to rank for.
Okay.
But it should be pretty much on base anyway if you've done your research and you know what keywords are important to your avatar. So it goes to the core level. SEO is just icing on the cake. So, and a lot of people, they want to just throw up a site that's just a package of garbage, and they want an SEO guy to come in and make it fabulous. And all they're really doing is they're just polishing a turd. So you can make it shiny, but it's still a turd. So it really, the core strategy is based around the ACT formula. It's figuring out, who are the different segments. That's job one in ACT, is figure out who your segments are. I like everyone to focus on the most profitable segment first, but let's say you were doing ACT for a strategy for an entire website, an entire business. You're going to have multiple avatars. You're going to have multiple different segments. To build the site properly, you need to figure out what those segments are so you can create proper navigation. You can create proper content in each section or each silo. A silo is just a category. So like, I use the example of realtors really a lot because it's such a graphic example. You have buyers and sellers. They totally speak a different language. So you've got to self-segment them right on the homepage. You got to literally have a button, buyer, seller. Which one are you? You click the button and you go into that section. Now you self-segment further. Like if you're a buyer, you're looking to buy a home, what is the language that you speak? Are you a single mom looking to survive? Are you a family that's looking to grow? Are you a bachelor looking to have fun? Those are three different segments of the buyer segment of real estate. You got to have all that figured out. You got to figure out who are all of your avatars. I know in ACT we focus on one because I want you guys to learn the process, but in the real world, you're going to have a lot of them. If you figure out the first one, it's so easy to replicate it. But if you go in and you try and do 10 and you don't really know how to do the first one, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're never going to do anything. That's why in the ACT program, we simplify it down. I say, I want you to focus on one so you get the process. Once you got the process and you got your head wrapped around that, heck, do 50 of them. Build a website that truly serves everyone that you can serve, and your sales will flourish because of that. But I guarantee if you don't know how to do the first one, you're not going to do 50 of them, or you might do 50 and they're all going to fail. So it's that core business strategy of what do you sell and who do you sell it to? And segmentation is the very first piece. A website should be designed around that segmentation. Your categories should be designed around that segmentation. Like if you've got, 10,000 different vitamins and supplements, not everyone needs all of those. If you have this particular problem, that is a segment. So in that segment, which of those vitamins and supplements do you need? And those go into that segment. And it only talks about those. Because remember how overwhelmed we get in our own business when there's too many options and there's too many things to think about. Your customers are the same. If there's too much stuff on your website, you drop them right in the middle of it, they're just going to get overwhelmed and they're going to leave. They're not going to get what they needed. You're not going to solve their problem. You're not serving them, and they're not becoming your customer. So
our distributors and the wholesale buyers, there's on the homepage, there's just a place for them to click in. And with the new site, I think we just need to make that more obvious. The problem is how to make that look like there is a separate site that is truly focused on practitioners. So years ago, I thought, okay, who better to help me do that than my hosting company, right?
mm-hmm.
And so I paid Volusion to do that. So they were going to I guess make a mirror site, right?
Okay.
And they took my website down, my entire website down, and it was down for over a week. And I have been, they are so good at doing that that it just makes me antsy about it. But
Yeah.
there does need to be a way to make the wholesale portion of the site look as focused, and I don't think that it's a bad thing that they, and it's possible I'm wrong, that the way they enter it is from the home page of Nutrimeds, right?
Well, here's how I've done it in the past.
Okay.
I've built a ton of commerce sites. I've probably built over 100 commerce sites.
Okay.
And nothing like I haven't done that in the last 10 years. This is like 10 years and prior. But in that time, I built well over 100 commerce sites, and at least 20 of them had that same criteria.
Okay.
They needed wholesale pricing, and they didn't want their regular customers to see the wholesale pricing. So what we would generally do is we would set the catalog up, and we would set up the retail catalog just the way a retail customer would see it. And then what we would do is we would create an additional price group. And sometimes we'd have multiple price groups based on the volume of the person that was going to purchase. Now, the administrator assigns the price group to the customer, and they do that manually. So the site that you see, whenever you create a commerce site, it's all dynamic anyway. It's built off of a database. So the database is just pulling the pieces to build the site on the fly, regardless of whether you have one pricing level or 10. And based on the price level, it's going to pull the prices from the database that has that wholesale level pricing. So in the site itself, what we would do is we would set the site up just like normal, and then we would put a button on there that, wholesale pricing available. When they click that, they would go to a separate page. They'd go to a landing page that would invite the person to apply for a wholesale license or wholesale account. Now, up to the administrator whether they're going to grant the pricing or not and assign them to that price group. But when they do, they just come back to the site, they log in with their login, just like a regular customer, but now the entire catalog expresses their wholesale pricing. You can even have the retail price and then it'll slash and then the wholesale price display.
That sounds like a good idea. So one of the things that we have sort of struggled with has been, and honestly, this came up because of distributors who say, "Oh, I'm selling to somebody that's going to resell, therefore I want a bigger discount."
Okay.
Like everybody else is not going to say the same thing. It's kind of nice. However,
well, on that landing page, what you can simply do is you can just put the different categories that is available. Like you can have a master distributor, and you put the criteria. The requirements of a master distributor are you're going to buy X amount of product to start to stock, and then you're going to repeat and purchase so much per month, and show us that you truly have a distribution channel to move this product out into the market. And if they don't, you make a monster sale up front.
Yeah.
And then if they don't repurchase, then you just, remove their pricing level so they can't buy again at that price, if you wanted to do that.
No, we absolutely do need to figure it out. There's no question.
So usually the criteria, the barrier to entry is the purchase price or the purchase volume.
Right.
So you could just set that up, because like you said, I know what you're up against. You got a bunch of these little mom and pops that want to buy it for themselves, and they want wholesale pricing because they're a store or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
And I totally get that. I've been dealing with that for 30 years in business. Everybody everybody wants the deal. So they come across as much bigger than they really are. but you can separate that. They say, uh, it, the separator for that is the barrier to entry. What's the barrier to entry? Do they have to buy one bottle? Does that qualify them as wholesale?
No, they have to order over $200.
Okay.
So what they end up doing at the wholesale amount. So it's maybe a dozen bottles or something like that, right? But clearly from their buying pattern, some of them truly they just buy for themselves and they don't reorder until after they've used it, and it's so easy to see, right?
Yeah, if you're selling it in a lot that is a year's supply, and that's what they're doing, they're just buying a year's supply. That's not really a wholesaler.
Yes.
So you got to figure out, when you're going to qualify them for wholesale, how many customers do they have? How hard are they going to push this? If they've got 100 customers, 12 bottles isn't enough.
Yes.
So maybe you just need to raise your criteria for the wholesale pricing, or add another level in there.
Yeah, add another level is sort of where I was thinking. Well, for
Yeah.
one thing, we kind of have to grandfather some of these people in.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But ones that have hardly ever used, my feeling is I just want to erase their level and say, they don't buy enough that it matters. They can contact us if they ever want to buy again. But there needs to be a level for people that just barely get over the, if they're willing, they stretch a point to spend $200, but clearly they're never going to be ordering 500 bottles, right?
Yeah. Well,
I want the 500 bottle people.
What you might do that kind of loosens the reins on it is you might say, we have our regular retail pricing, but in our retail pricing, we have a volume discount if you buy a 1-year supply. And you can just have a discount coupon for that. So you're not really assigning them as a wholesaler. You're giving them a discount coupon to purchase a year's supply at a discounted rate.
Okay.
And then you have your true wholesale pricing level that, they've got to buy. If it was for one person, it'd be like a 5-year supply, which nobody's going to do that.
Right.
That might solve your problem very easily, is just increasing that barrier to entry, still leaving the one on the bottom so you don't miss out on any of the sales. But that would eliminate the whole wholesale pricing thing, and it would change it just to an annual volume discount.
Okay. Okay, I hadn't thought about that, but that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, I've dealt with every scenario of of this in commerce that you can imagine.
I can imagine, yes.
And when you're talking to your commerce provider, or whoever's doing that, I know you're on Volusion. What it's going to be, unless they have a fancy name for it, it's basically just price groups is what you're looking for. You're looking to create an additional price group that you can assign to particular customers. That's the solution to the problem in e-commerce, is price groups.
Okay, so we just need to define, and I guess we've kind of struggled with that, not quite being able to commit to, what we consider to be but I really think that having an annual discount coupon price, that probably that feels to me like a really good way of addressing these people that.
Yeah, it keeps everybody happy. It keeps the little guy happy because they get the discount they want. It keeps the real wholesalers happy because it separates them and it eliminates their competition. And it keeps the distributors happy because they know, there's padding in here. There's margin for them to make money on distributing your product.
Right. So is there some kind of a mathematical way of looking at that to say, this is where people ought to fall as far as well, because our maximum discount.
You mean as far as the volume discounting, where the pricing needs to be?
I'm thinking of the pricing simply because I'm not I'm really not willing to give more than say 40%, you know? And so the question is, how much do we come down on the people that don't? If I want to have that for my people that are in the, geez, I don't even know where to make the cutoff. So the
Okay.
at a $500, 500 bottles, I mean that is, and these people are going to buy the most current one, and that's because that's in the front of my mind. Different people do differently, but they are going to order say $500, 500 bottles a month.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. So the max discount for a volume distributor is the most you're ever going to go is 40%?
Yes.
Okay. So if you know that, that gives you the first piece of the equation. That's your max discount. That's your distributor pricing. It's 40% off for distributors.
Yes.
So a distributor is going to want to make a margin when they sell it.
Yes.
So the distributor is going to want to sell it to, they're going to want to make at least 20% in there. So you got, so
when
you've got,
we looked at what they overseas, Canada, but certainly the EU, they like triple the price. They
yeah.
double and triple the price. So nobody's hurting with this stuff. You know, it's not like, wow, they're going to sell it for the same price we do, and they're just barely squeaking by. I am astonished at the way they jack the prices up.
Okay, so back to that. If your retail price, let's say your retail price is $10.
Uh-huh.
That's what the consumer is going to buy it for. So you're saying 40% off of that is the most you're ever going to go. So your distributor is going to buy it for $6.
Well, I mean, yeah. So I'm trying to think what price is that we're selling it. So our price is like 32. Our retail price is like, so the wholesale price doesn't feel like 17, but I, you know, I honestly just don't remember what it was.
Okay, well you gotta figure out your numbers.
But they sell it for 50 something, right?
Okay, well so if they're selling it for 50, that's your retail price. So whatever, like if you're a manufacturer and you're selling stuff on your website for less than the retail price, you're undercutting your entire distributor network. And
Well,
that's going to hurt you.
yeah, that's not, yeah, no, that's, they were the ones that raised the price. So that's always been our price.
Okay, well, whatever.
And because they sell in the EU, you always have to sell more over there anyway, because they include the tax, right? So they include 20% tax in the EU. But then they add their padding, you know? So it's roughly twice our price. And I've seen the practitioners in Canada do exactly the same thing. So we can't call it us undercutting their pricing. They were the ones that came in and decided that they were going to make more money because it's more convenient to buy from them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, when there is a retail price established,
yes,
and your retailers are going to be buying wholesale and selling retail,
yes,
you've got to maintain that retail price or you'll be undercutting them.
And in the US, so domestic, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Because I mean, some people, I mean, they're free to, we don't tell them what to do, but most people, in order to keep it in the realm of reality, okay, will sell to their customer base at something close to what our pricing is. It's just that it changes a lot when it gets outside the US, right?
Okay. Yeah, because see, when you have a product where there's only 40% margin, total margin, that makes it really difficult to bring in a distributor level.
Okay. So what is a distributor level usually?
Most, a lot of people like to cornerstone 2 or 3 times. Like the distributor will buy at one price, they'll double it to the wholesaler, they'll double it to the retailer.
Okay.
So, that's pretty common in a lot of different areas. And obviously, there's some markets that don't hold up to that. You would have to look at, the supplement market in general and see what's reasonable and customary in that particular industry, and then you got to work around that.
Well, certainly some people's products are so cheap that they can get away with doing that, but ours are not.
Yeah, and that might mean that you might not be designed to work with master distributors. You might be designed just to work with one level of distribution, which is your wholesalers and your retail price.
Okay.
You might not be able to get a third one in there for a distributor unless the distributors just don't need to make much in that particular category because they move such volume.
Right.
So like when we were in the clothing business and we were selling to big retailers, retailers that were big enough to have their own distribution chains, they wanted to double prices. So you had to have them have the ability to double. And if the retail price was set, a lot of times they would want to discount the retail price and still double their money. So where that cuts on the manufacturer end.
Right.
So you've got to make the decision, do you want to take those cuts and make less and move a lot more volume, or do you want to go the other way and make more profit but not move as many items? What makes the most sense to you?
Gotcha.
And you've got to be very careful if you delve into the game of discounting. And I can tell you, I made this mistake and I was warned against it by several financial people that knew better, and I thought I knew better than them, and I didn't.
Okay.
So what I did was I took a bet basically from my brother.
Okay.
And he said, I bet you can't get these into Walmart. And I'm like, well, there's no reason in the world why I couldn't, so you're going to lose that bet. And in the process, all of our advisors, and they all told me to steer clear of Walmart. This Walmart will destroy you.
Okay.
And at that point in time, we had a worldwide distribution network. We were shipping these fishing shirts into, probably 20 different countries, every state in the U.S., Canada. We were selling these things everywhere. And when I went into Walmart, I had to cut the price back, give them a better deal. They dropped the retail price, and they sold these things by the truckload. I mean, for 2 years, we couldn't make them fast enough. We were ramping up as fast as we could go, and we still couldn't keep up. What it did, it seemed great at the time, but it destroyed our entire distribution network outside of Walmart because nobody wanted to buy our product because Walmart had it and it was discounted, and it destroyed the retail value.
Right.
So we lost our entire distribution network that we had built. I'd spent 3 years building that network.
Oh my goodness.
And it was gone. And then at the end of the second year with Walmart, they decided that we were gone. And that left us pretty much holding the bag.
Wow.
And I was stuck with about $500,000 worth of inventory and nobody to sell it to.
Oh my goodness.
So
So
you got to be careful playing that game.
Okay. So to me, that sounds like we are better off. Well, we sold through to iHerb for a while, and
Okay.
that was so it wasn't that bad. I mean, to Walmart. I mean, we did well, and they were really good customers, not no question. The
Yeah.
problem is they offered free shipping. And so what we ended up doing was, to customers who valued free shipping above everything else, we were essentially selling, we lost them, and therefore they became, part of the wholesale customer network kind of thing, right? So they were then iHerb's customer, not our customer, even though they'd been with us for years, So, so creating a competition online seemed like not the thing to do,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You never want to get your product into a price war.
yeah. So we don't sell to people that are going to compete with us online anymore.
Yeah, and there's some industries that the manufacturers are really, really sticky about that. Like I built quite a few commerce sites in the golf industry. In fact, I built one of the biggest golf sites around in the beginning for Worldwide Golf, which is Roger Dunn, Vans, and Golf Mart. And they were very, very concerned because if they didn't follow the pricing from the manufacturers would literally cut them off. They wouldn't sell them any more stuff. If they did any kind of discounting, it was like our hands were completely tied.
Right.
And we had to sell the stuff at the price that they put it out at.
Wow.
And
so now they're running your company, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So in your case, you are that manufacturer. I don't know if you want to get that sticky about it, but if they start selling, the last thing you want is for some wholesaler to come in or some distributor to come in and, dump your product onto the market and have it all be discounted and destroy your retail value.
Well, the interesting thing one of the interesting things that happened was, these have been our customers for years in some cases, but they still felt that we were the expert. So they wanted to come to us for product support. So they didn't buy when they didn't buy the product from us, but we were going to do their support. Well, I don't think so. Do your own Lumen support if you want to sell the product at a discount.
Yeah.
But it was just one of the things that we ran into that we honestly hadn't anticipated because we'd never been down that track before, So it really does need to be that we sell to people that do their own product support. If somebody wants to buy it from us, we're perfectly willing to support them. But the other's crazy.
Yeah, and that really all just comes down to your business model.
And I don't want to go looking to see who's doing it. That's just of no interest to me to go out there and play super cop,
Yeah. You just need to design your business model, design your terms, and just stick to your guns. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's certainly interesting. There's way more to this than I guess, I certainly thought about going in for sure. But we need to come up with something that is like a strict guideline that just works this way so that nobody has to think about it and make the decision, because honestly everybody knows if there's a workaround and they come to me and they ask me about it, I am perfectly willing to give them a discount. Absolutely. It's just, and so it's like, keep me away from the shopping cart because I'm ripe for a sob story.
Well, it's perfectly okay for you to do that too if you've got your strategy in place. Like you give them that annual discount.
Yeah.
That's perfectly okay. You just need to have that all lined up so it's company policy and you're just really operating within the policy of the company.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to bring that one up. I feel like that is, I think that one will work.
Yeah.
I feel good about that. Thank you.
But I really do feel that you need a bigger barrier to entry for your wholesalers.
Absolutely. So I guess what we were trying to do in the beginning was, some of these people really are mom and pop. $200 is a significant amount of money to plop down for them.
Yeah.
But I have to say, For us,
with them, just tell them, you can, to get started, what I want you to do, I want you to get a taste of this. So why don't you just buy our package that's an annual discount. It's an annual amount for one person, but you could just sell the bottles individually.
right.
That
So what's
gives them the ability to buy it at a discount to resell it. And then once they see, hey, I can really sell this to my customers, then they can step up and they can buy a bigger order and they can get the real discount.
So what is a real discount? What is?
Well, the real discount might be, you said you could go up to 40%. So instead of like maybe a 10% annual discount, or, you might go 25% or 30% or 40%. However, I don't know how many different steps you're going to have.
Right.
If you're going to have a distributor and you're going 40%, then you usually would put 20% to the distributor, 20% to the retailer. So
okay.
your retailer would be they're buying it at wholesale price, and your distributor is buying it at distributor price.
Okay.
So they're making 20% on the distribution. The retailer is making 20% on the retail sale. And then your annual discount might be 10%.
Okay. Okay, so is like 12 bottles? Does that sound like I think that, I mean, if people take
I would base it around a year supply.
A bottle a month is fairly standard. Right?
Okay. Yeah, so 12 bottles. That's perfect.
Okay. All righty.
So that sounds good?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up unless there's anything else. Anybody got anything real quick here to knock out? Okay, well, we will go ahead and wrap up. We'll be back on next week at our regular time. I will see you then. Have a great week.
Thank you.